the people who benefit, especially those ones that expire, because they're those ones that are whole, which means that you will most likely benefit. The number of people that benefit are, believe it or not, 1%.
Really?
Yes. And if you think I'm not telling the truth,
no, I believe you.
Go to ChatGPT, go to Google. It's only 1 out of 100 people. So I think when you're getting into a life insurance product, also have a full understanding that you're getting into it with a 1 in 100 chance that that these premiums are gonna benefit someone.
Life insurance. Why do you need life insurance? So we don't changa, right? You need life insurance so we don't changa. That's your zero, right? Everything starts at zero. Where do we start? Is a zero, so we don't changa, right? And everybody needs to have a life insurance. So you can have a term life insurance, which means like for 25, I'll use myself as an example. When I was 12 years old, my dad got me a term life insurance, and it was a 30-year type, 30-year term life. So I was like, man, I was so not a curse. Negro, you think I'm not gonna be here in the next 25 years?
In these turbulent times where, ulikuwa umeingia 401k, for those who have big 401ks, maybe your 401k is at $1 million. And then you go back 2-3 weeks later, it's down to 800,000. Now, when you see such things, what is it that you should do and what is it that you should avoid doing?
Stay.
What do you mean by stay?
Stay where you're at. So
do nothing.
Do not move things around.
Do nothing.
Do nothing. And it's very difficult for us as individual investors not to stay, because let's put things together. The market dropped 2 weeks ago, 1,600 or 2,600 points.
Yes.
If you looked at
a lot of people don't understand what 2,600 points is.
So the stock market, the Dow Jones, which is the top 500 companies in America.
The S&P 500.
Yeah. They're the ones, so their valuations, how people feel comfortable about them, they dropped by 2.6%.
Yes.
2.6%.
Yeah, and that's a big number.
That's a huge number if you look at the entire global. And then the next day they came back up by 1.6%.
Yes.
So there are people who made money and there are people who lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you as a regular person? What does it mean to you? So when you work for a company, especially like these big companies and your 401ks, they invest into those. So your investment, you have somebody who's an investment manager. Your company has something that they have that they invest for you. And when you take that loss, don't look at it.
Yeah. Just take it. Just take it like a man.
It's gonna come in.
Or take it like a woman.
I didn't say that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. Take it like a man or a woman.
I didn't say you
That's
did.
what I meant.
Because women nowadays can take it.
And then, but also, let's put this, and because you guys have a broad audience, right?
Yes.
If you're 22, leave it alone. If you're 66, oh my God, it means something different to you.
But I'm assuming even if you're 66, because there's that part of the reason why.
And what if you're like 72, like Omosh?
Part of the problem.
I didn't want to say it, but that's what I was
part
thinking.
of the problem is the people who sell these exotic products. I'll call them like IULs.
So IULs are exotic.
Yeah, those like okay.
Just
by
doesn't wanna
exotic,
give it a bad name.
By exotic, I mean that 90%, let me say 95% of the people have no need for that.
No.
So
I think what happens is that when the market goes down, like for example in 2025, the people who sell those products, they come out. You see, we told you. You see, we told you. So, and here's the thing: even if you're close to retirement, let's say you're 57 years old and you're approaching retirement, and you're seeing this money melt away, like at 10%. my thinking is, if you're gonna be retiring at 60, for example, it doesn't mean you will be pulling the full amount of your retirement, and you shouldn't even do that. Because when you get to that age, it doesn't mean that you won't be taxed when you pull out the money. All that it means is that you will not get the penalty, because there's a penalty, the early withdrawal penalty. You will avoid that once you turn 59, but then when you pull it out, you'll still be taxed. So the people who make a mistake of, I have $1 million in my retirement account, I'm taking it all. So you're like, okay, so your brokerage, and by the way, most brokerages nowadays are very good. Fidelity, Vanguard, they will have a very big pop-up there, and they will tell you, this is a taxable event. What they won't tell you is how much you're paying in taxes, because in all fairness, they don't know your tax situation. So you'll get to know your answer the day when you go file your taxes. So when you go filing your taxes, you're happy, you took $1 million, sherehe hapa na pale, Vegas, LA, nini nini. Then when you go file your taxes, they tell you owe $300 and something thousand. Yeah, on $1 million, you'll owe $300 and something thousand. They will take it away very easily.
Yeah. Before Maura answers, what is IUL? Because some of us don't even know what IUL is and what does
exotic.
So
what would you say exotic? What are you?
So IULs are these products that, first of all, they're very difficult. They're called indexed universal life insurance. Yeah. So they try to mix up elements of life insurance where you have some investments, you're getting some returns out of it. Because typically life insurance, you're paying a premium and you're waiting for an event to happen. If the event doesn't happen, then all those premiums that you paid, it's just like car insurance. If you pay insurance and you never get an accident, you get nothing out of it. So with this indexed universal life insurance, they try to mix both, where they're telling you that you will get a certain percentage, like every year. But then on the back end, there's very high fees. So whatever they're telling you will get, they index it to something. And then when the market goes up to like 25, which has happened in recent years, 25, 30%, your growth is capped. So you cannot, once you get to a certain percentage, there's a certain max. It could be 8%. It could be 9%. So if the market is giving back 30%, you're capped there. And then now the argument that they bring in is that, when the market is negative, we are still giving you something. What they don't tell you is that if you look at, for example, the past 25 years, or maybe the past 20 years, maybe there's been one or two, or maybe let me say 3 or 4 years when we've had, like a major market crash. So most likely, your money is gonna be growing, and I know people who sell these products, they kind of don't like me. And this is what I tell people. Notice one thing.
I'm not going to say anything.
Notice one thing. There are no financial experts who sell that product. And I'm saying this in a very kind way, because I know there are people who sell it who might be listening to me. They target especially people in the healthcare industry. So imagine if I'm in the finance industry, and then I'm here selling you a cure for cancer. Would you come and buy it from me? And I'm not a medical expert. I'm selling you. So what's happening is essentially what was happening with this drug. What was it called? Oxycodone. The people who are selling it were people who are not in the medical industry. The oxycodone sales people, the people that were hiring to sell it, were not in the medical industry. So IULs, this is the oxycodone of the financial world, but that's not the topic of today.
Got it. I just wanted.
But I would like to opine. Just
sure.
I'll be very fast.
Yes,
I think you're saying. You hear that opine?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
jeez.
Yeah.
Don't play.
Omosh will use it next week and pretend he knew it.
Next week, in the next
That's what
hour.
he does. Yeah.
In the next
No,
hour.
and you hit a lot of points. So, but the thing when you have life insurance. Why do you need life insurance? So we don't changa, right? You need life insurance so we don't changa. That's your zero, right? Everything starts at zero. Where do we start? Is a zero, so we don't changa, right? And everybody needs to have a life insurance. So you can have a term life insurance, which means like for 25, I'll use myself as an example. When I was 12 years old, my dad got me a term life insurance, and it was a 30-year type, 30-year term life. So I was like, man, I was so not a curse. Negro, you think I'm not going to be here in the next 25 years? Term life.
Yeah.
And it expires.
So it expires, yeah.
Right?
So if nothing happens,
Nothing
then,
happens.
Yeah.
Whatever he's been paying for those months,
Yeah, that's gone.
it's gone.
Yeah.
But if things go sideways,
Yeah.
there's going to be something that's
Yeah.
going to happen. And then we go to like universal life insurance, right?
Yeah.
So universal life insurance has two impacts into it. You have a term, but also the biggest one that makes it sexy is because
there's
you
that
have
return.
investment products that come in behind it, right? So like if you like, I have one of those universal. So you come in, I put in my stock portfolio. Like I've been aggressive on mine, extremely aggressive, right? Because I'm like, listen, man, I need to hit 100. My grandfather made 100. My grandmother made 100. So why am I going to be conservative?
Yeah.
Right? But you put in, it gives you the investment aspect into it. So it's not to say that you didn't say, I agree with you, but I feel that everybody has to understand the entire story, because there's some people who are risk averse or risk heavy on
Yeah.
it,
But here's what I'll tell you, Maura.
Yeah.
90%, and when I say 90%, I'm being very conservative. 90% of the people, they don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, agreed.
So a lot of people who who are buying this product, they actually have no idea what they're getting into. So when they come back and say, "Oh, I want my money," they're
Right.
told, "No, you can't access your money.
Right.
You can't access your money." So
Yeah.
so a lot of people who are being pushed into these products, they're pushed into these products. They sometimes don't even have an emergency fund.
Correct.
Yeah,
so true.
they don't have certain basics that you need to have before you get into playing around with this risky, with these exotic products. They don't have a grounding in those, and that's what I've learned works for most people.
That's great.
Is get them something very basic. Like for example, if you don't understand investments, get the S&P 500, go and sleep. Like it is not, like you're gonna be better off, because the moment you start, like teaching people, for example, to trade stocks and they don't quite understand them, guess what's happening to them in 2025?
Losing.
Guess what's happening to them in 2025?
And do you know you just pulled a double negative? You pulled a double negative. You said
yeah.
people don't understand stocks, and then you said S&P 500. Most people don't understand what S&P 500 means.
But the S&P 500
No, what Standard?
is
You have to
easier-
tell them.
is
Standard,
easier to explain.
What I'm saying, Standard and Poor's.
Yes.
A lot of people don't understand what S&P means.
I agree with you.
Right. Sorry. So I didn't mean. I
no,
was just
I
saying.
agree with you. I agree with you, and thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
But that's something easier to teach,
Correct.
and it's
Yeah.
one thing.
Agreed.
This is the only one thing that you need to know, because most people are not gonna spend hours and hours, like learning about these, about these products. So that's why, like it's very careful. And then another interesting thing about insurance that I think also people need to understand, and even life insurance, especially the term insurance. Do you know how many people, an estimate of the percentage of people who get an event and benefit out of it? Anyone who can make
I'll
a
go
guess?
with 5%.
5%. Uno Mike, make a guess. A wild guess.
22%.
22%. Omosh, wild guess.
18.
I don't know whether Mika is still there. Ama alipata shughuli. And
Why did you
anyone.
look at me?
he's
Why did you
there.
look at me?
Yeah,
No,
and
he's
yeah,
there, but
yeah,
You looked at
anyone,
me like we were on the phone.
and anyone on the comments, if you wanna make a guess, because the number I will give you will shock you, and it will shock most people. The people who benefit, especially those ones that expire, because they're those ones that are whole, which means that you will most likely benefit. The number of people that benefit are, believe it or not, 1%.
Really?
Yes. And if you think I'm not telling the truth,
No, I believe you.
go to ChatGPT, go to Google. It's only 1 out of 100 people. So I think when you're getting into a life insurance product, also have a full understanding that you're getting into it with a 1 in 100 chance that that these premiums are gonna benefit someone. I personally I cannot advise someone whether to get or not to get life insurance, but I will tell you one of the best insurances you can have is your family, the people you have around you, and your community.
Yeah.
You know, one important thing that you need to figure out outside the money is who's gonna take care of my kids if something happens to me, you know, like, and my wife, or if you're a single parent. That's the most important thing. You know, it's one thing, you know, if you have $1 million there for them, what's a 5-year-old gonna do with $1 million? Nothing. So I think it's very important to know, you know, and even talk to people, have these conversations, and even have written agreements. If something, especially for single parents, because single parents are at a higher risk, because you're a single point of failure. In case you die, then your kids have no one to take care of them. Right. So have these conversations of, if something were to happen to me, and even death is going a bit far with all these shenanigans happening, people with green cards are getting pulled and they're getting deported. Yeah. So if something were to happen to you, what's happening to your minor child? So those are the most important things that people actually need to think about. Will my child have a nice, warm place to stay with a good family? And these are things that people don't think about, because I think we're so tuned to think of the money aspect.
So